Corrections Deputies of the Month.
Deputy Strange was alerted to 2 inmates in the medical dorm who appeared to be having seizures. Corporal Landis, along with Deputy Concordia and Sergeants Halfide and LaRoche, responded to assist. Both inmates did not have a pulse, and Corporal Landis operated the AED while the remaining officers performed CPR and rescue breaths on both inmates. As a result of performing these life-saving measures for several minutes, a pulse was regained on both inmates. After the arrival of Brevard County Fire Rescue, Narcan was administered and both inmates were transported to the hospital where they made a full recovery. In addition, these correctional deputies are each receiving a life-saving award for their quick intervention and teamwork. Corporal Mike Nettles was assigned to in-custody inmate security at Holmes Regional Medical Center. During a 3-week period, the inmate divulged information of his involvement in multiple violent crimes in another county in Florida. Corporal Nettles kept detailed notes of the conversations that referenced 2 homicides, a robbery of an elderly woman, and a false imprisonment. Corporal Nettles forwarded this information to investigators with the Green Acres Police Department and Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, where these events took place. Corporal Nettles testified in the trials of the inmate in Palm Beach County. His testimony and the meticulous notes that he had taken were instrumental in the conviction of this inmate for these horrific crimes. Due to the efforts of Corporal Nettles, a very violent career criminal will be serving the rest of his life in prison. Corporal Nettles is also being recognized with a Bar of Merit. While conducting a security check in the maximum security area of the jail complex, FTO Anderson located a shank in the shower. Corporal Johnson immediately called for a complete lockdown, and a thorough search of all 16 cells and 30 inmates was conducted. During the search, with the assistance of Corrections Deputy Hamilton and Concordia, additional contraband was located and seized. Due to their diligence, these corrections deputies were able to remove dangerous contraband from the facility, helping to ensure the safety and security of the inmates and officers. They each have received a commendable service bar for their actions. As Corrections Deputy Smith approached an inmate who refused to return to his cell, the inmate lunged forward, knocking him to the ground. The inmate continued to advance and stood over Smith with closed fists. Corrections Deputy Smith was able to use his legs to keep the inmate at a distance, allowing him to deploy his taser. The inmate was able to separate the wire from the taser and charge Smith again. Smith deployed his second taser cartridge and chemical agent, at which time the inmate became compliant. Corrections Deputy Smith is also being recognized for his quick response with a Bar of Merit. While assigned to 500 Delta Pod in the jail complex, Corrections Deputy Ardley McCree witnessed a group of inmates passing a crumpled piece of paper to each other. After retrieving the paper, he found it contained 2 clear plastic bags with a gray and white powdery substance, which were later identified as heroin and fentanyl. Due to Corrections Deputy McCree's attention to detail, harmful narcotics were removed from the jail complex. Field Training Officer John Cabrera investigated a disturbance involving multiple inmates and located a weapon consisting of 2 pieces of metal, each approximately 2 inches in length, that appeared to be made from hinge pins. With the assistance of another corrections deputy, an area search was conducted that led to the discovery of a similar item in a box truck delivering food. Continuing their investigation, they were able to positively identify where the metal pieces came from and also the 2 inmates involved in attempting to introduce contraband into the facility. For his actions, FTO Cabrera is also receiving a commendable service bar. Lieutenant Kimberly Wilson was notified of a possible overdose of an inmate in the medical unit and began an investigation to determine how this inmate could have obtained the drugs, since she was housed alone. Camera footage, housing logs, and arrest affidavits were reviewed to compile the information needed to determine the source of the drugs. Lieutenant Wilson successfully located the inmate responsible for introducing the drugs into the jail population. Based on her investigation, a search was successful in recovering the drugs, and the inmate received additional criminal charges. Lieutenant Wilson also received a commendable service bar for her investigative work in this incident. While off-duty, Corporal Michael Oldham noticed a verbal altercation that turned into a physical altercation between a male and a female in the parking lot of Walmart. He quickly intervened and separated the involved parties, while advising an employee to contact law enforcement. While awaiting their arrival, Corporal Oldham witnessed drug paraphernalia fall from a backpack of one of the subjects. Corporal Oldham provided a statement to arriving officers that assisted them in charging the subject. Corporal Oldham intervened in this incident using an approach that assured the safety of all parties, while using his observation to assist local law enforcement in the furtherance of a criminal case. For his actions, he is also receiving a commendable service bar. While off-duty, Corrections Deputy Sean Rohlin was travelling on State Road 528 when he observed a male subject walking alongside the roadway. He recalled reading a law enforcement bulletin in reference to a missing endangered person and was able to recall the subject's physical and clothing description. Corrections Deputy Rohlin confirmed the subject matched the description on the bulletin and made contact with the male. The subject had been reported missing from a local hospital and was still wearing a medical bracelet from the facility. Corrections Deputy Rohlin's attention to detail assisted in returning this person to the medical facility to receive the medical treatment he needed. For his actions, he is also being recognized with a commendable service bar. While off-duty and driving, Corrections Deputy Nathaniel Elliott witnessed an altercation between a male and female inside a vehicle. He took position behind the vehicle while contacting the Palm Bay Police Department. Corrections Deputy Elliott updated dispatch as the vehicle entered a parking lot where he witnessed the ongoing altercation between the male and the female. Based on his information, the occupants were intercepted by the Palm Bay Police Department as they left the hotel parking lot. The male occupant was arrested on charges of domestic battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, and driving under the influence. Corrections Deputy Elliott remained calm and focused and provided the necessary information that led to the apprehension of this individual. Corporal Darren Duval was conducting a security confinement check when he was alerted to an emergency in cell 320. As he approached the cell, he observed an inmate lying on the floor with what appeared to be a torn sheet wrapped around his neck. Corporal Duval immediately called FTO Price and Jenkins for assistance. He entered the cell and attempted to remove the sheet from around the inmate's neck. However, the inmate was still conscious and resisted Corporal Duval's efforts by pulling the sheet tighter around his neck. With the assistance of Price and Jenkins, the three corrections deputies were able to get the inmate under control and remove the sheet. Their quick actions and teamwork helped avert a potentially life-ending event. For their actions, they are also receiving a commendable service bar. The Haunted Jail Trail is a one-of-a-kind event held over 2 weekends and provides a family-friendly night of fun while benefiting local charities. Director Noel Remillard and Corrections Deputy Raymond Short spent countless hours preparing the Haunted Jail Trail, building multiple structures which made the event possible. They also spent many hours working during the event to ensure that the volunteers had everything necessary to make the event a success. Their contribution continued after the event was over as they worked for days ensuring that all the props and structures were properly disassembled and stored for future use. For their efforts in this important community event, they are also being recognized with a commendable service bar.